Welcome to the channel and welcome to another episode, and not only an episode but a series. While I was at work today, I came up with this idea to put together a series that has taken me from where I was back in April of 2018 to where I currently am today. And that is basically going from a position where I was not in control of my finances, learning about finances and different tools and motivation in order to get myself on the right path. And then now on a path to, with my wife, building our journey to building wealth. And so this is a 4-part series. The first thing is just going to be trying to determine where are we going. I recall back in April of 2018, and I'm sitting here looking at my situation, my debt, and I had no game plan for where I wanted to be when I got to retirement, or just where I wanted to be financially. And because of that lack of a game plan, I had gotten myself into a big old mess in the name of debt. And so the first process for me, and what I felt was so important, and I laid this series out in exactly how I did it. I determined what our fire number would be and where we were going towards. What were we working towards? What were we doing? And what did we need to accomplish? And so in this first episode, this first part of the 4-part series is going to be the step-by-step process to determining your fire number. The second portion, and you'll see the playlist down below in the description, is going to be the process that we used in order to get out of debt. The third process is then going to be getting that brokerage account going. So opening up a brokerage account, I go step by step into how you open a brokerage account, how you save your first $1,000 in order to transfer that into that brokerage account, and then begin making your first trade. And then finally, on that last episode number 4, which is where we currently are, it's the journey to becoming wealthy and reaching this fire number that we're going to be determining right here in this episode. So let's not waste no time. I hope this is of interest to you. I hope this makes you excited, and I hope it gives some clarity as to the struggles and the difficulties that you're going through right now. This should begin to shine the light on where we're going to be going and how we can accomplish this together. So let's get right into it. All right, so what is your fire number? First off, if you're not even familiar with fire number, fire number stands for Financial Independence Retirement Early Number. So basically, how much money do we need in an investment account so that then we can comfortably retire? So the first thing that we did and we tried to determine was how much money did we want in retirement, quote unquote, when we no longer had to work and we wanted to live off of investments. How much money did we want? For us, that number was $100,000 a year. There's a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. When you begin to live off investments, your tax rate is going to change significantly. Depending on what your number is, as of right now in the current tax code, so this is based off a 2021 tax code. This is when this video is being shot, even though it's 2022. It's for 2021 tax code. A married couple gets $80,000 a year tax-free capital gains income. So if your investments have been invested for longer than a year, you sell those investments off for a profit of $80,000 or less, you will have a capital gains rate of 0%, which means $80,000 goes directly into your pocket and you pay no federal taxes on that particular money. So that is going to be a big difference than what you are receiving in W-2 income. If you were to be in that same bracket, $80,000 a year on W-2 income, of course, it's truly going to depend on what state you're in as well. But on the federal side, I do believe that's about a 22 or 24% tax bracket. Check with your CPA or whoever does your taxes. But either way, the amount of taxes that you pay on $80,000 W-2 versus what you will pay on capital gains is a significant difference. And I do know that for a fact. So the first thing is going to be to determine what your annual income and what you would like it to be. You can start off, a great way to start off is by using your income that you currently make, because you're somewhat making it off of that income right now. And the reason I say somewhat, because if you're going into credit card debt, that means that you're spending a little bit more than what you're currently making, which means you might need to adjust that income to be a little bit higher. But you want to plan for things. You want to plan for a vacation, once, twice, however many times you'd like to go a year. You want to plan for, a couple car problems, emergencies, whatever the case may be. So for us, our number was $100,000 a year, and that's where we just started, or where we started. The next thing that you're going to have to determine, and if you are in the FIRE community, the typical pool rate is 4%. And what that means is that you're going to have an investment account of so much money, and every single year you're going to want to pull off 4% of that investment account. So again, if you have $1 million in that portfolio, and $1 million is invested in different stocks, ETFs, whatever, bonds, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to pull off 4%. So for $1 million portfolio, that would be $40,000 a year in order to live off of. Again, with us wanting $100,000, that clearly gives you a hint that $1 million portfolio would be too small for our ratios. Again, you want to determine your ratios. Do you want a 4% pull rate? Do you want an 8% pull rate? Do you want a 10% pull rate? The thing that you have to keep in mind for the pull rate, however, is the higher the pull rate is, the more that portfolio needs to grow on an annual basis. And remember that you're going to still be pulling money out even in a possible down year. And so what you want to do is try to have a pull rate that is small enough that it takes into account some years where your account doesn't grow by the standard 8, 10, 12%. Maybe your particular account for a particular year only grew by 2%, or maybe it even lost 5% this year. So over a long period of time, the stock market has given us 8% a year. However, you want to make sure that if you have a couple back-to-back years or not so good years, that pull rate isn't going to kill your portfolio, because the worst thing that you want to do is start pulling principal off. You only really want to be pulling off interest and dividends so that again, that principal always stays the same. So now, how do you determine what your FIRE number is? I am going to pull up a calculator for you in just a second so I can show you and how you can do this on your own. But basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take your annual income. So for us, it's going to be $100,000. So you'll type $100,000 into the calculator. Then you will divide it by 4%. Now, you can't divide it by the actual number 4. You have to use the decimal point, 0.04, which is 4% on a calculator. So you'll go 100,000 divided by 0.04. If your pull rate is 8%, you'll go 100,000 divided by 0.08. Again, whatever your annual income is that you would like, then you divide it by that pull rate, and that's going to give you your FIRE number. Finally, you need to go over to a compound calculator to determine what your monthly contribution is. We're going to figure out, how much money do we have right now? We're going to determine how many years we want to be working towards this. Do we want to reach our FIRE number in 10 years, 15 years, or in 30 years? And then finally, we have to determine what is an average rate of return that we can expect over a 15-year period. Now, again, no one's perfect. No one can see exactly what our portfolio is going to be performing over the next 15 years, but we can definitely use an educated guess as well as look at the past performance of some of the stocks and ETFs that we have are going to be investing in to determine what we can somewhat average out to be. So let me pull up a calculator and let me show you some of this math work right here for 3 and 4 so that then you can do this on your end and determine your FIRE number and what your monthly contribution is going to be. All right, so let's first pull up a calculator real quick. So again, what I want you to do is determine whatever your annual income is going to be. So again, for us, it's $100,000. We want to do a 4% pull rate. So we're going to divide that by 0.04. The reason it's 0.04 is because if you were to take 0.04 times 100, that would be 4%. Easy way for you to understand what to put in your calculator to represent the percent that you're going to use. And so if you do that, you will see that our FIRE number is $2.5 million. So we need a portfolio of $2.5 million to be able for us to feel comfortable in pulling off a 4% pull rate of $100,000 a year for the rest of our lives. and our portfolio plus or minus wouldn't fall below that $2.5 million mark. Let's play with some different examples. Maybe you want a annual income of $75,000 and you want to use a pool rate of 6%. Let's see what that would be. Oops. You would need a portfolio size of $1.25 million. Now, let's go something a little bit more aggressive. Maybe you want an annual income of $2.5 million, $250,000 a year. And let's do this, the standard pool rate of 4%, and let's see what size portfolio we would need. We would need a portfolio of $6.25 million to have an annual income of $250,000 a year at a 4% pool rate. So again, take these examples, play with them on your own, and let's get an idea of what annual income we would like to have. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty because we need to determine via compound calculator. Let me move this over a little bit. Via compound calculator, how much money we need to be putting away on a monthly basis. So for us, we started at zero. We didn't have any money that we could put towards, or we didn't have something already started. We literally started at $0. We did a 30-year game plan. We did do 15%. We looked at the ETFs that we were going to be investing, and they all averaged between 12 and about 21% on a year-over-year basis. And so we were comfortable doing something around 15%. And I'm stuttering here a little bit because what we do is $3,300. And so that's clearly more than the 30 year, or faster than the 30 years. But currently we do $3,300 a month into our portfolio. And so as you can see at the end of that 30-year period, that's going to give us somewhere around $18 million. Now the question is, where does this say that we'll be at $2.5 million? So for us, based off of the starting at zero, 15%, $3,300 a month, we would reach our $2.5 million balance somewhere between right here, year 16, year 17. So in 16 to 17 years roughly, we would be able to retire and reach our FIRE number. Now again, you play with this. So let's see what it would look like if you did just $100 a month. At $100 a month, if for us wanting to get to $2.5 million, we would clearly need to do more than 30 years in order to reach that. So let's figure out what that would be. Would that be 40 years? So about 42, 40, let's go 41. It would take us at $100 a month, 41 years in order to reach our FIRE number. Now that is also another hint. If you have children, as you can see here, doing $100 a month, and they're starting at age 0, that means they can retire at 40 years old. That is going to be a significant head start for them. Not to mention, that's only doing $100 a month. That doesn't even account for any dividends being reinvested or even them taking over and being able to do a little bit more from the head start that you were giving them. But let's go back to what we were originally discussing. Maybe you can do $500 a month. Let's go back to 30. Let's see if... So $500 a month at 30 years will get you to $2.5 million and $100,000 a year income. If you followed the same criteria and wanted to use the same annual income and pool rate that we did. Again, you want to use the numbers that you are comfortable with. You have to, again, determine what you want your annual income to be, what you want your pool rate to be, and then how much time do you have. More money means you can get there faster. And or if you're starting later, that means you're going to have to put in more money on a monthly basis in order to catch yourself up. But I just wanted to give this to you. I wanted to walk you through how to determine your FIRE number, how to do the math to determine what that FIRE number portfolio needed to be. And then once you have that FIRE number portfolio size, taking it over here to a compound calculator and determining the amount that you need to put in on a monthly basis in order to reach that number. So take a look. Check out for episode number 2, a part of this series. It's going to be about paying off your debt and saving that first $1,000 so that then you can begin investing for your FIRE number. So please, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, pass it on to a friend or family member. I always like asking for you to subscribe at the end of the video because I want you to feel or get some value out of these videos. I want this to be something that provide you some education, some material that opens your eyes to a new concept or whatever the case may be. And I only want you to subscribe if that is for you. If I didn't provide you anything new, please hold off on subscribing until I get to you something that is worth the subscribe. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you.